مجمع الأندلس التعليمي، تعلم عصري ملهم بهوية وطنية وقيم إسلامية.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear students of grade 10. A new meeting with Mr. Aymen. Still we are in the 8th unit, Green Living, a vocabulary lesson, students book page 10. Don't forget to do your best to protect your land and to save water. That's a way to show your life and belonging to your country. Our objectives for today are as follows. The first is to relate 7 definitions from A to G with the words or phrases from 1 to 7. Next, our objective is to complete 5 sentences with the words or phrases from exercise 1. I wish you're ready to have an overall idea about what we will see. We aim to start with the video. So, pay attention.
A giant chasm, bigger than anything on the North American continent. A place so daunting in scale, no American had yet managed to journey into its depths. A place now known as the Grand Canyon. Today, visitors come to its rim to be thrilled and unnerved. But when early European travelers first stood here, they simply could not comprehend the canyon's enormous scale. While scientists still don't know exactly how the canyon was created, they do know that its story stretches back more than 1.5 billion years, thanks to colorful layers of rock that are now exposed in the canyon's walls. The oldest of these is a black rock known as Vishnu schist. It was created from deposits of volcanic ash, mud, and sand that washed down from ancient mountains. In the hundreds of millions of years that followed, oceans, deserts, and swamps came and went across this part of Arizona, leaving behind more layers of sedimentary rock, so many that they created a giant plateau. Just 250 million years ago, the youngest layer in the canyon's walls was laid down. It's a light-colored stone known as Kaibad Limestone. It was only after these deep and colorful rock layers were formed that the Colorado River started carving a giant canyon through the plateau's floor, feeding it with thousands of tributaries that eroded the landscape even more and helped expose the colorful layers below to create this giant chasm, which reaches, in places, 18 miles from rim to rim. It's a process of erosion that continues. A process that's created some of the canyon's greatest landmarks. From towering rock pinnacles near Temple Butte to deep geological scars known as the Hindu Amphitheater, and soaring above, the Tower of Ra.
Here finished with this video, and I think now you may be familiar with words like acid rain, smog, oil spill, toxic waste, and deforestation. Open your student's book on page 100 and someone please to read the instruction. Match the definitions A to G below with the words or phrases 1 to 7. Then check your answers in a dictionary. Someone please to read the definitions. Yes. A mixture of smoke and fog caused by exhausted fumes and factory gases. B. Rain containing acids which are harmful to trees and forests, as well as buildings and monuments. C. Materials containing poisonous chemicals which are no longer used and are pumped into rivers, lakes, and oceans. D. Substances such as coal and oil that were formed over millions of years from the remains of animals and plants and are burnt for energy. E. A layer of oil on the surface of the water which comes from leaking ships or sinking tankers and is a large threat to marine animals. F. The process of cutting down or burning trees in a large area for agriculture, commercial, housing, or firewood use. And the last one, G. Power that is produced using the energy from the sun, wind, water, and the like. Here are the definitions, and here we have the words or phrases that can match them. 1. Alternative energy. 2. Acid rain. 3. Smog. 4. Oil spill. 5. Toxic waste. C or 6. Deforestation. And the last one is fossil fuels. So let's start with the first, which definitions can refer to alternative energy. It's G. Excellent. 2. Of course, it's B. Drain containing acids. Smog. It's A, and here we have half the word smoke and og from the second word smog. Oil spill. Number 4 is E, a layer of oil on the surface of the water. Toxic waste is the sum of materials containing poisonous chemicals. Number 6, deforestation refers to the process of cutting down or burning trees in a large area. And the last one, of course, is D. Here we finish the first part. Try now to complete these sentences with some of the words you have just learned. Pause the video and try to do it yourself. Focus on the meanings. Read all the sentences from the beginning to the end. And focus on the meaning and context. You're back so fast. So someone for number 1. People with breathing problems should avoid going out because of the smog. Yes. Number 2. Pollution in the atmosphere causes acid rain which damages buildings. Number 3. The factory was closed down because it was pumping toxic waste into a nearby river. That happens in our city in Tunisia. Number 4. The government is considering spending more money researching alternative energy sources. And the last one, there are fears of an oil spill because of the engine of the tanker is leaking. Here we finished the first part related to vocabulary. We will finish the second part, which is related to a listening and a speaking task. So here we are, the second part of our lesson. As I said, it's a listening and a speaking task. I should remind you of the importance of saving water and keeping the land safe. Our objectives for this second part are as follows. The first is to relate 4 extracts to the correct forms of communication, and the second is to identify the techniques the interviewer uses to prompt the interviewee to speak. And we have a third objective in the speaking section. I should remind you of the techniques that you should learn to know how to deal with the listening task, especially during the exams. Let's start by watching a video to prime ourselves for the next part. This is our land, our planet, our Earth. So here we finish it with this video. Before starting the listening task, let's try to learn some terminology related to the task. Documentary, summary, brief, and opinion. Pause the video and gain and learn the definitions. And now I want you to work individually. Pay attention.
Module 8, Green Living. 8A, Listening. A. Listen to 4 extracts related to the environment and match them with the correct forms of communication A to E. Write 1 to 4. There is one extra form of communication which you do not need to use. 1.
After several days of heavy rains and thunderstorms, severe floods were faced in the farming region 100 kilometers west of the city center. Crops were destroyed and homes were damaged from the increased levels of water. Farmer and resident of the area John Peters told our correspondent that this is the worst flood he has ever seen. Most of his fields are completely covered in water and many of his family's personal belongings are ruined, leaving him devastated. Farmers are concerned and they want to save as much as possible of this season's crops. Officials are promising that relief measures will be taken immediately. In other...
2.
Well, I don't see what's the big deal. Personally, I hate cold weather. Global warming means I can go swimming all year round. So why not let it get warmer and warmer?
Are you crazy? Haven't you understood a word of what scientists are saying? If the temperatures keep rising, the ice caps in the poles will melt. As a result, sea levels will rise, causing massive flooding. And yes, you will be able to go swimming all year round, in your back garden.
So what? If the ice caps were smaller in size, it would be easier to dig for oil in the Arctic, which would mean cheaper petrol for us. Think about how much more often we could use our cars.
I give up, Brian. You are completely out of your mind.
3.
What a crazy week. Tomorrow you'll need your coats and boots because it's going to snow. The morning will start out cloudy with a temperature of -3 degrees Celsius, and towards noon we will see some light snow beginning to fall, which will continue late into the evening hours. We will probably have about 5 centimeters of snow, so don't expect to be making any snowmen just yet. Drivers will, however, need to show extra caution on slippery roads. The snowy weather isn't going to last for long, though. On Tuesday, the sun will shine again. The temperature will rise to a high of 5 degrees Celsius, and the snow will disappear.
4.
Good afternoon. Yesterday, some residents of Winterdale complained about the government's decision to build a wind farm just outside their town. On the line, I have Emily Taylor from the Environmental Protection Agency. Hello, Miss Taylor.
Good afternoon.
What exactly will this wind farm be like?
Well, 15 turbines will be built on the hills just outside Winterdale, providing 20% of the town's total electricity.
Now, farmers in particular aren't happy at all about the wind farm.
Well, what farmers need to realise is that these wind turbines will be on top of the hills, where there are no farms and hardly any farmland.
Okay, but some bird protection organisations are worried because these huge turbines kill a lot of birds.
It's true that turbines sometimes kill birds accidentally, but compared to other man-made structures, the number is very small.
Okay, thank you, Miss Taylor. Now let's go over to...
So here we finished with the 4 extracts. I remind you that there is one extra. And can you tell me which one is the conversation? Yes, Ravi? You got all of them? So let me hear you. Number 2 is the conversation. There's no documentary. The 4th is a radio interview. The 1st is a news broadcast, and the 2nd is a weather forecast. Let's verify. Yes, true for the conversation, and the documentary is an extra choice. The 4th extract is the radio interview. The 3rd or the 1st is the news broadcast, and the 3rd is the weather forecast. Excellent, Radhi. And now let's go to task B.
B. Listen to one of the extracts again. What is its topic?
Good afternoon. Yesterday, some residents of Winterdale complained about the government's decision to build a wind farm just outside their town. On the line, I have Emily Taylor from the Environmental Protection Agency. Hello, Miss Taylor.
Good afternoon.
What exactly will this wind farm be like?
Well, 15 turbines will be built on the hills just outside Winterdale, providing 20% of the town's total electricity.
Now, farmers in particular aren't happy at all about the wind farm.
Well, what farmers need to realise is that these wind turbines will be on top of the hills, where there are no farms and hardly any farmland.
Okay, but some bird protection organisations are worried because these huge turbines kill a lot of birds.
It's true that turbines sometimes kill birds accidentally, but compared to other man-made structures, the number is very small.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Taylor. Now let's go over to...
So, it's about the government's decision to build a wind farm near a town and the complaints the town's residents, especially the farmers, have to the task. C.
C. Listen to the same extract. Tick which technique or techniques the interviewer uses to prompt the interviewee to speak.
Good afternoon. Yesterday, some residents of Winterdale complained about the government's decision to build a wind farm just outside their town. On the line, I have Emily Taylor from the Environmental Protection Agency. Hello, Ms. Taylor.
Good afternoon.
What exactly will this wind farm be like?
Well, 15 turbines will be built on the hills just outside Winterdale, providing 20% of the town's total electricity.
Now, farmers in particular aren't happy at all about the wind farm.
Well, what farmers need to realise is that these wind turbines will be on top of the hills, where there are no farms and hardly any farmland.
Okay, but some bird protection organisations are worried because these huge turbines kill a lot of birds.
It's true that turbines sometimes kill birds accidentally, but compared to other man-made structures, the number is very small.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Taylor. Now let's go over to...
So, we want to verify which of these techniques figure out in the extracts. The first A is expressing personal opinion. The second B is presenting opposing views on the issue. C is presenting a brief summary of the issue. And the last one, D, is about drawing conclusions from the discussion. So, is there any personal opinion in the extract? No. Any opposing views on the issue? Yes, the one of the farmers and the opposing view of the government. True. Is there any brief summary of the issue? There is, about the type of the project. Here we finish it with this listening task. Left the speaking part. Someone please to read the instructions A and B both. So we aim to discuss in pairs and groups and to try to answer the following questions. What do you think are the most important environmental issues our planet is facing today? And do you think enough has been done by governments and people about the issues? Don't forget to justify your answer, saying why or why not. We want also to talk in groups and to use the speaking activities section on page 137. So this is what we have in your speaking section in 137. So just have a look first on these pictures. Oil spill spreads and its coast. Paper factory pollutes river. And severe smog covers city. We produce too much rubbish. Scientists warn fossil fuels and deforestation are increasing global warming. You can start as follow. It is a fact that smog is a problem many cities are facing nowadays. Air pollution is a serious health hazard to the local population. That's why something has to be done not only by the government but also by the people. What do you think? Do you agree or not? So, if you want to speak about the government action, you can just pause the video and read these statements or phrases. If you want to state facts, you can say everyone knows that, or it's a fact that, or it's common knowledge that. And to refer to the environmental awareness, you can use any of these statements or phrases or words. Use car less, carpool, public transport, environmental organizations, education and programs, and the like. Pause the video. Think, what can we say? And let's answer the first two questions. You can say that there are actually quite a few, like global warming, deforestation, the rising sea level as well as land. Sea and air pollution are just a few of the most serious environmental issues that our planet is facing today. They are all important because all aspects of the natural environment are interlinked, which means that when one area is affected, so are others. If we speak about the governments and the people's action, you can say that in general, governments are trying to raise people's awareness of how serious these issues are. However, I think both sides should try harder, as not all governments have realized that they should adopt greener policies and people should become more involved in the protection of their environment. Environmental education should start at an early age and should be part of the school curriculum. To finish the task, let's suppose that Ali, Bassem and Karim are exchanging the talk about the issue. Ali can say that it is a fact that smog is a problem many cities are facing nowadays as a result of air pollution. This situation is a serious threat to people's health. So something has to be done not only by the government but also by the people. What do you think, Bassem? I couldn't agree. But first of all, governments should definitely reconsider their environmental policies and pass stricter laws. In my opinion, factories are largely responsible for smog and river pollution. Look at this headline here. Paper factory pollutes river. Factories should be made to move away from cities. If they continue to pollute the environment either by pumping their waste into the rivers or by releasing dangerous chemical substances into the air, they should be made to pay heavy fines or even closed down. Yes, Karim? I think we definitely need to take some stricter measures. Everyone knows that if we want to reduce smog in cities, we need to change the way we think and our attitude towards public transport. Here we are at the end. Thank you for your attention and be ready for the exams. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
مجمع الأندلس التعليمي، تعلم عصري ملهم بهوية وطنية وقيم إسلامية.